Hello, my sewing friends. This is Friday Sews. My name is Jen, and this is my sewing room where all the magic happens. I say magic. Is it magic? I guess some people might think it's magic. I mean, if I were a pioneer woman, I would think this thing is magic. Anyway, Friday Sews, where I talk a little bit about sewing, a little bit about life, and just visit in general. I got a lot of sewing done this week because I didn't mean to do this, but I spent 2 whole days in here just finishing up projects, making things, just doing the whole creative sewing thing. And I am really grateful that I have time to be able to do that. I'm just really fortunate. So let me tell you what I worked on. Well, previously, I had finished up Simplicity 9180. This is a full gathered waist skirt, kind of a prairie style, and I didn't have anything to go with it. I tried lots of things in my wardrobe, and I wasn't happy with any of them. So I looked through my stash, and I came across this quilting cotton, which, oh my gosh, could this go together any better? Wow, look at that. It's just perfect. It's just got this perfect shade of taupe in there that matches this suiting just really well. Okay, so anyway, I knew I wanted some kind of crop top. Okay, crop tops for women my age are just a little bit tricky because, there's a whole lot right here that you just don't need to see. So how was I going to accomplish this? Well, I found in my pattern stash from 1996, Simplicity 9032. This is a top and a pair of pants or shorts for wovens. So it's a very loose fitting top. And what I ended up doing was cropping it off. I just kind of measured down to my waist. And initially I was going to put a band on it, but I didn't end up doing that. I just cropped it off, and it's very boxy, and I thought it needed to come in a little bit at the waist, so I put ties on it. And I'll give this its own video, but I wanted to let you know that when I do talk about it, I'll get your opinion on the ties and whether or not I should have gone with the buttons that I initially thought of. So yeah, got that finished. That little top, oh my gosh, it was so easy to whip up. It's a t-shirt, so that's why. Then I worked on McCalls 7831, which is a learn to sew pattern. It's pretty easy. I have a few things to say about the instructions on this and whether or not it is a great teaching pattern, but it sure did make up a cute little jumper, I'll tell you that. I made this from home deck fabric that I found at Hobby Lobby. And one thing that impressed me about this, I already had some overalls hooks, these. And I thought I was going to have to get a hammer out and a piece of wood or something to bang, the button in. No, they're made now that where you just snap them in. I mean, you push this through and then you push that on and you're done. I couldn't believe it. So this ended up turning out really cute. I had gotten 1.5 yards of fabric, but then I looked later and I think this called for 1 3/4. No, 1 3/4. So the way I laid it out, I just ended up using a contrast for the facing on the inside. You can kind of see, and did a lot of top stitching, and this is kind of like a canvas, and it just worked great. It was easy. It took me an afternoon to put it together. So yeah, that was fun. I finished up McCalls 8022, which I do not have here to show you because it's going to be part of a collaboration that I'm doing with Emily from SoCal Socialite. This is a Nancy Zeman pattern. It's just a little dress, kind of a little sweatshirty kind of dress. And I made it out of my Raiders polar fleece. Oh, my husband laughed, took pictures. It was great. So I'll tell you all about that when I tell you about the collab. And then I'm wearing Simplicity 9107. Now this is a top that is a copy of another top exactly like it. And I made a few changes to the construction to make it easier, and it indeed was much easier the way I did it. So I'll tell you about that in its own video, in depth, but I won't do that now because it would take too long. You don't want to hear about all that. On tap, things I have coming up. I have Simplicity 8657, which is a hacking pattern. It's a caftan. And I have a bunch of this stuff, and this is going to crinkle and make noise, but I have a bunch of this stuff. This is a crinkle rayon, and it has a funny kind of horizontal stripe-ish kind of pattern going through it. And you can kind of see, can you see? You see how that's got that here and here? Yeah. So that is coming up. That I'm going to make with Sharon from Sharon Sews. I think we're going to do some kind of a caftan sew together. Not a sew along, but kind of, you know, we're both going to make them and talk about them. So that's coming up. That's already cut out, and I did all the sizing and everything. Part of it is tissue, part of it is tracing paper, because that's just how I roll. Sometimes I trace, sometimes I don't. Also coming up is something, this is going to be really interesting, Vogue 2989. My daughter Mia likes this pantsuit. Okay, Mia is 28. And she just loved the top on this pantsuit. And so I'm going to go ahead and make it for her. It's got kind of a bishop sleeve with a button cuff and a front placket that's got buttons. So she went through the stash and found this rayon that I think is beautiful. And on her body, this is going to work like magic. Magic is going to happen in here. But it is a one-way design, but it's just a really pretty rayon, soft rayon that I found at Joann's a while ago. And I made Simplicity 8640, which is my pattern. You know, I should be the spokesperson for that pattern because I've made it so many times. Anyway, so that's coming up. And the only other thing is bralettes. I'm going to make bralettes for the girls out of all this lace. And it's a simple pattern from So Easy. And I'm not decided, but I may show you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So kind of a sew along, maybe, I don't know. I have to get that together in my head. So I'll let you know, I'll keep you posted. So that is all of the sewing for right now. On the life front, I am not going to sew this weekend. And it's not for not wanting to, it's just that I need to get out in the garage and rearrange and organize, because that's an ongoing thing with us. You know, it's kind of like your sewing room, you know, is it ever really all the way there in terms of organization? Because, you know, you get it perfect and then you go a week and then all of a sudden everything's piled up on the floor and in places, and that needs to be put away and that needs to be, you know, it's like my garage is like that. So I have a whole thing of shelving that I need to put together and then shift things around so that stuff is on that shelving. So got to get that done. And then I also want to start working on my sofa table. So I have to take apart that pallet. And even though the girls have not said that they will come down this weekend, I am not going to wait for them. I'm just going to get going on it. So got to do that. And the last thing I got to tell you is that it's cold. It's cold. I know that most of you are laughing. You're laughing your heads off because it's only about 60 degrees. This morning it was, I don't know, before the sun got to the, you know, the hottest part of the day, it was in the 50s. So here, that's cold, and my blood has thinned. I've lived where it, you know, it gets down to 0 and below. Not all the time. I mean, it's generally winter is in the 20s and 30s, but yeah, it's cold. It's cold, and it's cold because it's a transitional time. I mean, most places this weather is spring or fall, and I never know what to wear in the spring and the fall because either I'm hot or I'm cold. And same here. So a lot of times in the evening, I'll just put on that flannel skirt that I wore for Christmas and just kind of get all cozy. Yeah, you still have to do that here, even though winter is kind of a joke. So anyway, so that's everything. Kind of a quick one this week. So let me know what you're up to this weekend. If you're building anything, if you're sewing anything, I would love to know that. And that is pretty much it for now for me. So I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.